social impact investment.
Gentlemen, we have 20 minutes to talk about social impact investment. But before we go into it, from Alexander's side, just give a short introduction about yourself so they know who they're talking to.
Yeah, my name is Lopez. I'm CEO of the blockchain infrastructure company called EverX, which is core developer of 𝐒verX. But I'm involved in social impact in three ways. One is as part of Young President's organization, where basically doing the whole narrative, pushing the whole narrative about the social impact investing. The second one, I'm helping the startup, which is Metaverse for individuals with ASD, autism, to help learn better and find jobs, etc. Quite promising thing. And the third one is on 𝐒verX on our blockchain for good, narratives that we're also pushing and trying to stimulate folks to do blockchain for good stuff.
All right, Jerry, it's your turn.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for spending some time with us here. Jerry Lopez, CEO of PhilCoin. Been in the philanthropy space close to 20 years. Major focusing on incubating and helping people around the world be able to get educated, be able to maximize the potential of the things that they do with the minimal that they have, which is part of the reason why we build right now one of the largest philanthropy apps in the blockchain. With that in mind, to be able to bridge the gap between technology and humanity and helping people as we go along, helping them become peer-to-peer philanthropists.
Thank you, Jerry. Joan.
This is Joan. It works? Yeah, sorry. This is Joan, head of growth at EthicHub. EthicHub is one of the let's say, early ReFi protocols, regenerative finance protocols. We were born in 2017.
Close.
Sorry? Yeah, now. We were born in 2017. And what's EthicHub about? We are helping those unbanked people, smallholder farmers from emerging markets, to have access to fair interest rates, in this case, to borrow working capital. The main problem for them right now is that when they try to borrow that money, they have to pay interest rates above 100%, and with us, they only have to pay below 16%. So we're connecting them with traditional Western investors.
All right, so listen, as I said, I've been involved in this subject for over 30 years now. And I think that for the most part, we have no idea what we're talking about. Right. So I'd like to start perhaps by Joan here now. Joan is going to tell you in practical terms, not in sort of bubbly words, what is social impact investment? What is real social impact investment?
In this case, let's try to imagine that there are like a kind of pyramid. At the bottom of that pyramid, there are like unbanked people who really need that help, really need that money. The main problem is that traditional banking system, or not only banking system, traditional investment funds, traditional investment funds, they cannot reach those people because we don't have like enough technology. We cannot help them by providing that money they really need. So here is where blockchain and that's why we are here today. That technology, that blockchain, offers like the option for them to directly link them and onboarding them directly to a new kind of financial ecosystem.
Jerry Lopez, cuéntanos lo que tú sabes sobre social impact investment. I'm just asking him the same question in a language he can understand.
Well, technically, my understanding of social impact is where everything from governments, non-government entities, and nonprofits, and everyone that has a cause and a purpose to help people in actual need come together to feed that need in areas where needed most. People think that some areas are usually third world countries, but there's social impact issues in the United States as well as Europe, as well as Africa. So social impact is really where people who have means come together to create opportunity where it's needed.
All right. Jerry?
The short version of my definition for the social impact is that when investing, you're not looking simply for a financial return, but you're looking for the social impact, and you're balancing those two factors.
Very good. So one of the questions that I think everybody's asking all the time is the following. ESG, all right? Which in simple terms, meaning companies being conscious about what's happening in the environment, the social stuff. I often wonder how much of a window dressing this is all about. That's the subject I'd like you guys to address. I have come to across a number of companies that I personally believe that they're only using ESG as a way of getting more customers. There is nothing on ESG behind them. So it's a bit of an irony, a bit of a hypocrisy in a certain way. There are others that are doing it for real. But I'd like you guys to address that. Why don't we start with Alexander with that?
I have mixed feelings. It's a great question, by the way. I have mixed feelings. On one hand, I observe a lot of companies who use it as a way to attract new customers, to enhance their image, maybe help valuation as well, by the way, if you push the ESG narrative. On the other hand, and it's kind of window dressing in many cases. On the other hand, for example, talking about the metaverse space that I'm now looking at very closely as the project is raising the round, I can see real stuff. For example, Microsoft and Google are very active in the autism space. They have venture fund, which has special autism section. They try to customize pieces of their technology. So this is not window dressing. So I see a very balanced picture there.
Jerry.
Yeah, I think that when we start putting that in a balance, it's kind of like a very gray area, but at the same time, you really don't want to hit on that too much, because the truth of the matter is, even from the history of going back 300 years of what philanthropy even was, it has always been unbalanced, right? Because when we talk about being able to invest in people, invest in economies, and invest in social impacts, one of the biggest problems is that most of the money doesn't even go to the cause, which becomes a major problem to what the purpose of it really is. Because we can invest millions of dollars in how we can approach what we want to achieve, but if we're not really achieving it, what is the purpose of it? So that's the purpose why I believe bridging that gap in blockchain and helping people become peer-to-peer, just like blockchain is, just like the banking will be one day through blockchain. I think this is where social impact is headed.
Yeah, very good, Joan.
Yeah, you saw a lot of things. The point here is that most of the companies, they talk about ESG, but most of the time it's greenwashing. That's the main problem. That's true. And the point, we are talking also about philanthropy, but philanthropy, it can be something that generate yields. That's what we are proving from EthicHub. I mean, you can give away money, you can lend money, but at the same time that you are creating or you are causing different kind of impact, social impact, financial impact, environmental impact, you can also get some returns. So that's where we have to go. That's where we have to move.
I agree.
To start showing that that's possible. Sustainable and regenerative business models.
All right, so guys, I want to challenge you on this one. This is what's happening to me right now. In 2 weeks, I'm going to South America because our company, Carter Capital, is opening in South America. But I was asked on the way back to stop in the Amazonas jungle, which is a place I don't really want to go to because I'm scared of spiders. Spiders are this size, all right? But that's the reality. But the reason why they asked me to stop there is because I'm Swiss by nationality. A Swiss group is buying 30 hectares of the Amazonian jungle, and they want to NFT the trees in that area, all right? Which, to be honest, at this point in time, I don't really know what to think about. I need to go and see it. And if it's incredible, I'll do it as a volunteer or as a, someone who doesn't charge anything, pro bono. But I'd like to see from you guys, starting from Alexander there, is there any projects with social or environmental impact investment that you think that you would like to talk about? Something that has really impacted you as a person and you think it makes a lot of sense. Alexander?
Yeah, well, I'll stick with my example. I'm now an investor, early stage investor in the Metaverse for Autis project. And, it doesn't sound obvious, but if you think about that, it actually can change the life because autists have issues with socialization, and that's something that Metaverse can address. Typically, they have issues to find a job, and one of the missions of the project is to create jobs within the Metaverse. People can do coding, autists tend to be good in coding. They can be community managers. They can, help with Metaverse avatars and all the stuff that can help socialize. So this is a real thing. And the idea is also to create the tokenomics that can help address some of the issues in the ASD space, in the autism space, like, lack of funding for the least developing countries, lack of funding for early stage, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to, get into the whole thing, but this is for me very real. I'm living this right now as I talk.
Jerry, any projects that you really like to talk about?
Right. Well, that's that's what we're doing right now as we speak. Well, for the past 3 years, before we even launched the app, the whole goal was to be able to bridge technology and blockchain in rural areas. We have deals right now happening with the government of Costa Rica. We have other things happening in Colombia because part of our partnerships are with telcos. So what we're doing is we're bringing telcos and technology into these indigenous communities where they've never had technology. So when we're able to do that, we're giving them opportunity to be able to port what they know and the little bit that they know, educate them in that process, and being able to give them the opportunity to be part of a new economy through the digital area of blockchain. So right now, our main focus is to be able to do that in areas that's still non-existent. Like you mentioned about the Amazons, right? A lot of people don't want to do that, right? But that's what we're about. The purpose of what we want to do is to be able to do that and more. Another big project that we have is in the Amazons of Colombia, where we take our team and you got to go a day through a river to be able to get to a place where there's indigenous people there. Last year we gave, I think it was 150 notebooks and all that type of educational thing for children there. So my biggest thing with what I believe this era I'm most passionate about is giving opportunity where there isn't.
All right, very good. Joan, what's your project?
Yeah,
the one you want to talk about?
Absolutely. When we talk about innovation, we talk when we are creating a new business models with people who had no change at all. So that's what we are doing at EthicHub. Finally, right now we are in more than 5 countries: Mexico, Honduras, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil. Nice. Yeah, awesome. And we are helping them. Actually, we are lending money them, working capital, but that allows them to step out of the circle of poverty, because that's what we're talking about. That is like a kind of mafia, because they are trapped in that circle of poverty and they are out of the banking system, traditional banking system. They cannot borrow money. That's the main problem, or that's the main failure of the traditional banking system. Yeah. So here's with blockchain technology, and I think that's what we're talking here about. It's like to provide new kind of opportunities to those people.
All right, so thank you. It's very interesting to hear what you're doing for real. Now let's move to the money part. All right. I've been in finance for now 40 years, so as the CEO of banks and board of directors, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been in that subject for a while, and now the last 10 years is purely blockchain technologies. So I'm curious to learn from you guys the following. I've been told all the time by the people that I work with, which are half my age or even half my age, that we are entering into a new financial era with new financial models and really new business models. So when it comes to blockchain and impact investment, Alexander, are we really into new business models, or is the same soup that we're just hitting it up again?
No, there is a lot of new stuff happening. I'll give you just a couple of practical things, that to talk about the new soup, that is not the same soup. One is, when it comes to investment specifically, is obviously you can do more crowdfunding with tokens. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of scam in the last 5 years in the space, like people talking about social impact tokens, which are not. But when we transcend that scam thing, I think the crowdfunding opportunities with tokens for something good will be amazing. Sticking with that autism example, there are tons of people there are 80 million autists in the world and about 240 million caretakers for those poor folks. If everybody chips in $1 from the caretakers, you have $240 million. It's just a simple example to show. But it's not there yet. There are very little examples of the blockchain for good at crowdfunding and tokenomics. That's one example. The second example is DAOs and the governance. Again, one of the things we're going to do in the metaverse is to give the power to the autists, that they do community management, they make decisions on tokenomics, they make decisions on where the metaverse pivots, etc., etc. So I can do more, but I'll stick with those two to leave you guys some floor.
Jerry.
Yeah, I definitely believe there's a big shift in how digital economy is going to completely take over. I think that we're living it right now as far as opportunities as well. Perfect example is TikTok. Who would have thought that TikTok right now, you will have 16, 17-year-olds making $50,000 a month shooting little funny videos, right? That's called a merging economy. So is there a big redistribution of wealth happening right now in the globe? Absolutely. Is blockchain the primary source behind that, or the pacemaker? I believe that as well. Just the same way as Web3, potentially Web4, AI. What we need to be doing is not be sightseeing what's happening and be more getting involved in the education of how we can get more involved in that, because I definitely believe that money will not be the same in the next 10 years.
Very good. Joan.
Yeah, blockchain is a game changer. In this case, at least for EthicHub, we have been innovating with what we call the crowd collateral system. So finally, we have like two different kind of money flows. The first one works with the stable coins, so people lend money and borrow money. And the second one works with ethics or native token, and that's a crowd collateral system. So in case of default ratio, or default ratio is below 1%, but in case there are default, that crowd collateral system, it's liquidated into the market and it's used to repay the principal plus the deal. So that's innovation on blockchain in this case.
Right. So let's stay on the money for a minute because it's very important. So we have an asset management company in the blockchain area. We actually finance companies. So if any company needs financing, come and talk to me. Maybe you qualify, maybe not, but that's what we do. So my question to these guys here is, they're all looking for money. Obviously, normally, they need to finance their projects. How do you finance yourself, Joan?
Right now, we are on a seed round. We are closing that. So far, we have raised 1.3 million, and we are looking for the remaining 700,000. So that's how we are raising money.
But what are your vehicles? Do you go to, obviously, these kinds of events? Although here, there are no investors, so it's a different crowd. But you go to specialized events, you go through VCs or whatever. That's my question. How do you finance yourself?
Everything you can do, actually, that's true. I mean, we go to this kind of events. We are also going to crypto events, also because we're trying to build a community. Not trying, I mean, we already have a Web3 and Web2 community, but we need to expand that, and that comes through onboarding of people.
Community is important. Jerry?
Quite important.
Well, my approach was a little bit different. I actually built our ecosystem first. I funded it myself. Once I was able to prove that it worked, then I did friends and family rounds, and we haven't even did an outside raise, and we've been able to raise $18 million as a company. And the reason being is because this space is a space talking about social investment. Not everyone really, believes that it's actually possible, right? But, I'm a firm believer that if you want something to work, go ahead and put it out yourself first. And that's what we've done. And hence the reason why today, 3 years later, a year after we've launched our ecosystem on the blockchain, we've been pretty successful, and we'll eventually do some private rounds and seed rounds and stuff.
Yeah, Jerry, I like that. I'm also a strong believer that you need to build your communities first. To me, communities is the old word for market. That's all. Is your market. So Alexander, how do you finance yourself?
It's a mixed approach. Co-founders put their own money because I do agree that you have to, show that you're also in the game, and you're taking the risk as well with the project. So that was the pre-seed round. Grants, because for our project, grants are important. There are a few scientific hypotheses that need to be validated and relevance to the community of the solutions that are being offered, and preparing for the professional round, with the professional investors after the certain milestones are met, like MVP scope is clear. It's a complex thing, metaverse is a complex thing, and a few other things, to be eligible for the professional funding.
Thank you very much. Listen, guys, we're about a minute under, so I'd like you to have your concluding statements. I'd like you to focus on an audience, an advice for this audience we have here. What do you have to tell them in terms of advice in this specific area, which is impact investment? Joan?
In this case, it's possible to change the world thanks to new kind of technologies, and it's also it can be profitable at the same time.
Jerry? No, Jerry.
Okay. Yeah, the perfect example of major social impact is sitting with 3 different people with 3 different mindsets that have 3 different avenues of how you can really socially impact the world. You here have banking, you here have opportunity, and here you have social awareness. So find what you're passionate about when it comes out to being giving and being social, and just go with what your heart desires.
Alexander.
I would always suggest whenever you do a startup or any venture, suggest to seek for a meaningful impact component because it helps in a few dimensions. One dimension is it's easier to engage people. All of the people I see in the projects, advisors, team members, are working for free, no salaries, because they want to contribute, passionately, and maybe later get something from the upside. It's easier to get funding because, it's easy to say no to a blockchain project, but it's more difficult to say no to a project with impact.
That's right.
Thank you, Alexander. Unfortunately, our timing is up. Sorry to cut you off. Thank you very much to the three top speakers. I learn a lot. I like when I learn. Thank you to the audience. I hope we've been of any use to you in terms of information. That's the whole idea. Thank you very much, and welcome the next panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was really interesting. We're going to move on just now to the GameFi pitch. So I think it's going to take a moment or two to set up the stage, and then I will be back to you. But you've got a couple of moments breather now.